Hey there everyone, welcome back. I've crawled out of the Tears of the Kingdom cocoon I've been living in for the last 72 hours to bring you important information, kind of, regarding mythic and legendary heroes and Hall of Forms. And the TLDR of all of this is, be very cautious with your Form of Souls. I'll explain. Earlier, we got a little update about Legendary Tiki being a new Hall of Forms option. And when that happened, I told you guys that basically there's a good shot that Julia will be a Legendary Hall of Forms option in June, and then also possibly Alm or Duma in May. With the banner that just came out for the remixes, we can see here, Alm's not on the list. So that means if Alm is still slated to return in May, in the current schedule, as Valentia for a Hall of Forms, it's going to be Alm. You're going to be able to pick up an Alm, a legendary Alm, in Hall of Forms. That's insane. So what I did was I dove a little deeper now that we have some returning, because prior it was basically just Julia and then that was it. But I've been able to fill in a couple possibilities for what Hall of Forms might look like on the legendary and mythic spectrum moving forward. And by legendary and mythic, I mean it's pretty much just legendary. So Tiki happened in April. We know that. That's the Marth game. Okay. Tiki's done. Alm. Definitely showing up for the Valentia Hall of Forms later this month. June. Genealogy of the Holy War. Julia. Legendary Julia. You can see her on the hero tracker there. Prior, we didn't have anybody slated for July. But after having Leaf on one of the current remix banners, he is slated to come back in July now, which happens to be Thracia's Hall of Forms. I think we're probably getting Legendary Leaf in the July Hall of Forms. We might not. We might not. But we do already have Mila Brandimon scheduled to come back. So it wouldn't be the craziest thing. It's not like there weren't any heroes for the remix that month. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be the craziest thing if we only had two and then two other filler options. That's happened before, right? It literally happens all the time. Now that there's two banners, getting two 5-star filler options is not uncommon, like at all. It's pretty normal, actually. What's less common is the fact that you have all 4 legendary and mythic heroes for a specific color group, kind of like we did this month. Curious. So there's a good shot, okay? There's a good shot that Leaf will be back in July on the Hall of Forms. August, slated to be Binding Blade, didn't have anybody for that. Turns out Roy is now coming back in August, per the rerun notice from the current remix banners. September, Blazing Blade. Didn't have anybody for that either. Turns out Hector is now coming back in September. Curious, right when Blazing Blade is slated to have their Hall of Forms. October, Sacred Stones. Don't really have anything for that yet. But Ephraim is scheduled to come back in September, which is before October, obviously. You can see from the hero tracker currently, it's not updated with the current remix reruns. But there's not technically supposed to be a remix banner in October. I don't think that there would be. So we may get a notice on Ephraim in September once he is done being on a remix banner. That we're actually going to get him in October. And if that's the case, then definitely in Hall of Forms. From November onward, it gets a little dicey. We don't really have anybody for Path of Radiance, like at all. There is Radiant Dawn Altina is supposed to make a rerun in July. We don't know when her next debut could be, but it could be in December, technically. There's also Ike coming back in January, which it would not surprise me at all if they actually bumped him back in a future like notice for returning heroes, where Ike was scheduled to return in January, but now he's coming back in December. That seems like it would make a lot of sense. I thought they were being like, I thought by saying Duma's like a 98% lock on the Hall of Forms option, I thought I was making that judgment call based on the fact that Alm would be too insane. Duma's a little more underwhelming, less overwhelming. Duma is less overwhelming than Alm, for sure. So I thought that would be the safer Hall of Forms pick, genuinely. Turns out it's actually Alm. Do I think they'd give us a busted Altina option in December? Hall of Forms? Maybe. Yeah, that game state is 6 months away, so who knows what the game is going to be like at that point. But it also could be Ike, since he's so close, you know? The possibility is there. And Ike's been shifted around constantly historically with these things, so it wouldn't surprise me either. Awakening is supposed to be in January. We don't really have anything for that yet. There's a fair amount of options for that. Robin, who was technically a legendary hero, but is also Grima, so kind of mythic, but not really, because that's back before we had mythic heroes, and she was like some weird hybrid thing that we had going on. There's Crom. Crom is technically a possibility. Maybe Naga? Naga can hit multiple games for reasons. Point is, there's a couple options for Awakening. I won't speculate on that. That's like 7 months out. February is supposed to be Fates. Again, there's a handful of options. Would they do Azura? I don't know. Maybe, you know. Fodlan for March. I honestly, like, it's so fresh. It's so fresh. It would have to be Edelgard, right? Like, it would have to be Edelgard. I mean, she's the only one that's been remixed this early on. I guess maybe Sothis is another possibility, but so far they've only done legendaries. It's weird. There's speculation in the air for that one. April maybe is Engage. I don't think we technically have anything for that. Certainly nobody in the remix pool, so nobody there. And then May for Heroes, which, you know, again, Leaf and Peony are coming back in January. Maybe Fjorm. Fjorm would make a lot of sense. She's supposed to come back in September. That would put her about half a year away, you know? So that's some things to think about. But all that is very, very far in the future. The key notes are, if you want a busted Legendary Ulm, or a busted Julia, or a Leaf, or a Roy, or a Hector, maybe an Ephraim, you should probably hold on to your Form of Souls for the time being. Because it seems very likely that those particular legendaries are going to show up in Hall of Forms in the near future. Through September/October. So, hope that helps. Just some info I wanted to get you sooner than later. Full Hero Tracker coming later this month. Bride soon. Yay. Bride banner. Please don't be Bride Pala. I'm still recovering from Rhea. Honestly, I don't need that in my life right now. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to playing more Tears of the Kingdom, because that's what I do now. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you thought this was helpful. We'll see you in the next one.